Sports.
Hey, let's bring Scotty up real quick. Scotty, hell of a job there. I mean, Scotty, look at him. Look at him. There he is.
He's too humble to bring himself up. There we go.
No, seriously, that was awesome. Blake was awesome. And that was great.
Well, I'm fortunate that Blake and I share a love for barbecue. That's kind of both of our obsessive hobby. And so we were fast friends, and yeah, Blake's great. So.
Tell me, you guys, because Cam, you knew right away about the Meat Mafia.
Yes.
That is such a Orange Bloods type deal. I mean, please.
Classic.
That's so funny, man. I remember when that post came up.
So Blake did a great job of describing it. So the way I understood it is churches around the country, right? That shared the same beliefs.
No. Not even Texas around the churches around the country. So I worked for a Texas Baptist church when all this was coming out. So it was extra funny to me. It was specifically, there is a group of churches in Texas that are in the Baptist General Convention of Texas.
And we're a Baptist. Baylor is a Baptist school.
Well, and specifically, Baylor is a school affiliated with the Baptist General Convention of Texas, which is different than Southern Baptist, which most people are more aware of. So this guy was so specific that it was the Baptist General Convention of Texas that was doing this. And I know all of these pastors around the state.
And there were big money people among these.
No, not really. That's part of why it was
just
so
influence.
Funny is honestly the BDCT has so much less money than like the Southern Baptist or some of these other bigger groups. And so we were having
So the theory really sucked.
Oh, it was hysterically funny and goofy. Yeah.
And so they were but
and like what's funny too is it was like, but they didn't have this last year when they were 2-7. Like now it has come around. Yeah. This is the issue.
They put together.
And 5 years ago when they won one game, it wasn't there yet. But
all the youth pastors,
they grew up.
So that's what it was. Youth pastors were,
dude. So yeah, it was like, well,
which was targeting
Baylor's using all of these churches and specifically these youth pastors to influence and get to the high schoolers and get the, like Blake said, it was funny because it's by no means the 4 or 5 star guys, but these sneaky 3 stars like that Baylor always seems to get. Like how does that happen?
It's funny because I have experience with the Orange Bloods. Like just there was a guy I know who was just like always on Orange Bloods. Oh, and he could. It was just one of those nut jobs. Him and his buddies. So I don't want to say anything negative about him because you just
might find out where you live.
Yeah, that's not. You want to talk about a mafia? You want to stay away. You want to stay away from those guys. All right, Cam Stuart. While we got you on the heels of that, I want to get your thoughts going into Friday about this Baylor game, and has it changed at all throughout the week on where you are? Because I spoke during the open before we got to Blake. I do feel like things might be trending towards West Virginia.
Yeah, and the big reason why is Garrett Greene, right?
Yeah,
who you say is going to start. That is a Pete Sousa guarantee. That Garrett, wait,
slow down on guarantee. Don't do that. Dude.
Sources
don't do that.
Sources say.
Yeah, I have a very good feeling.
Okay, all right. Well, I picked earlier this week for Garrett Greene to start. So, what bugs me about this game is that decision doesn't do much for me in terms of changing the outcome, because it should. Garrett Greene is a good quarterback. He's not what he was last year. He doesn't hit on explosive plays like he did last year, and he's got 9 touchdowns to 8 picks this year. But Baylor does not force turnovers at all. They faced the team last time out with the worst turnover differential in the Big 12, a team coming in at -11 in the turnover differential in TCU, and they didn't force one. So it's like, it's one thing to be a bend but don't break defense that's got some ball hawks out there, and it's quite another to be a bend but don't break defense that doesn't have that, and then you become a break defense, which Baylor has not been stellar defensively in this winning streak. And finally, for the first time since that bye week, since this winning streak started, they will face a team that's actually stout against the run. And Baylor does not need to run all over these guys the way they did the last couple of games, or the way they had the opportunity to the last couple of games. but they need to run it enough that they can balance this offense out. You saw at the end of that losing streak, before going on the winning streak, where there were games where Sawyer Robertson was throwing 45, 50 times, and he's a real good quarterback, but you run out of gas at the end of the game when you're doing that, when you have to drop back and throw every time. So I'm interested to see if Baylor can balance it out, but I just really wish they had some guys on this defense that could freaking turn them over.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a huge advantage against TCU, which game they won anyway, and would be a massive advantage in this game because these two teams are pretty evenly matched.
Yeah. Well, I can't. I'm like very much on the edge of my seat to just see. This is why you love football. I cannot wait.
No
I feel
one
like
loves the Big 12 more than you, Pete. Like every week, you're telling Corey like game of the week's Big 12.
All right, let me explain something.
Which is fine, man.
Let me explain
love it,
something,
dude. This
Can I tell you? Want to know what it is?
What?
It's loyalty. Okay.
Yeah.
And here's what I mean.
Yeah. You could have said competitiveness, but
No. It starts with loyalty.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not going to give you the whole deal, but the story of my mini ascension into broadcasting play-by-play.
Ascension. Yeah.
It goes all the way back to Baylor, and then from Baylor to the Big 12. And I was gifted the opportunity to have a front seat, especially to the best basketball conference in America. The year it was the best basketball conference in America.
Yep.
Even and it's to the point where ESPN is trying to split up play-by-play guys now and not guys like me, like guys like Fran Fraschilla and Jimmy Dykes, because every night you watch ESPN on every Saturday, and at 4:30 it's Fran Fraschilla telling you Big 12 is the best conference in the country, and at 7:00 it's Jimmy Dykes saying the SEC is the best conference in the country, and then at 9:00 it's Jay Billis saying, I don't know, I can't tell you about how good this Duke Carolina rivalry is, and it's like we got to get these people moving around a little bit, So that's the idea, but I
can take more Fran than Jimmy Dykes.
I have not moved around anywhere. Yeah, what was your issue with Jimmy Dykes the other night? I thought he did a terrific job.
Of course you did. So they opened the broadcast before
him and John Schriffen, who by the way is smooth.
What's it, Schifrin?
John Schriffen.
Yeah, Schriffen.
So smooth. Yeah. Very, very good.
They're opening the broadcast. Teams are still in the huddle. And Jimmy Dykes is like, yeah, well, Baylor's pretty overrated coming in as a top 10 team. They got blown out by Gonzaga. And it's like, okay. I mean,
I love the home.
Fine. They did get blown up by Gonzaga. I can't deny that.
Yeah.
It's a little odd to hear the ESPN broadcast just call them overrated to begin with, but okay. And then he doubles down on it in the second half, and he starts to use the word overvalued, which really just means overrated, but it's a way for him to say that without saying, hey, I'm an ESPN broadcaster saying this top 10 team is overrated. And he starts saying why they're overvalued, and it's because they've got 4 new starters on the team. And I'm looking across, I'm like, they're playing Arkansas, correct? They're playing a team that did not finish in the rankings last year, that is in the top 20, that has 5 new starters, a completely new roster, and a completely new coaching staff. And not a peep about Arkansas, not even saying
he is an Arkansas
this
guy.
Arkansas team is talented, but we don't really know anything. And I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. Where did Jimmy Dykes play college basketball? Where was the only place Jimmy Dykes was a head coach in college basketball? All I'm saying is the only place is Arkansas. That's all. And it's like that. It's just very odd. I guess not unprofessional, but feels kind of unprofessional to just, continually say that this team is overrated as they do not trail in the entire game against your beloved Arkansas Razorbacks. Yeah, it was a little odd. That's all. Pete Sousa would never.
No, I was like, well, I'm not an analyst. I got to just hit it right down.
And maybe, by the way, I'll throw Jimmy a bone here. He's watching live.
Who is?
Jimmy Dykes.
Well, actually, Christy is, and she says I'm too loyal to Baylor and the Big 12. So go ahead.
Well, this is from a Big 12 defector, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, she left. That's right. She left the Big 12.
And now the Big 12 sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, to go to North Texas. And her squad left the Big 12. Exactly.
Yes,
nice job, Cam.
Yes, because they didn't want the 11 a.m. games anymore. When you keep losing in the SEC,
11 a.m. looks pretty good, doesn't it?
But to throw something to Jimmy Dykes, the broadcasters I think should be allowed to say that if they believe it, but nobody does it. You know what I mean? Like it's still not an accepted form.
What do you mean?
Like if you think that team's overrated, go ahead. Like,
Yeah.
go all in. Don't give me the overvalued crap. Don't give me the reason of they've got all these new starters when I can literally point to the next huddle over and give you a team that brings even less back and doesn't bring the same coach back. You know?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do it, but have some reasons for me. Ones that I can't just immediately just crumble after, looking at the team they're playing.
Well, overall, by the way, this was on a rewatch. You heard this because you were at the game.
Yes.
What was there any was there an Arkansas contingent at that game? Or
Yeah.
going backwards? I don't know why, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, big time.
There was.
Yeah, probably more Arkansas than Baylor, but not by that much. It was a good, college basketball game, NBA arena kind of crowd.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yesterday,
they were calling those hogs, brother. Woo.
Yeah, two more things as we come up against it.
Sorry.
Yesterday, you did a live remote with Matt Mosley.
Yes.
I got to ask you because it's not so often we get Mosley in person. I actually wanted to see Mosley in person. I literally couldn't fit it in. I wanted to go over there. I'm sure life went on for.
I don't like hearing about the Pete Sousa plight here. Yeah. Oh, you didn't have time to do something? I don't know.
I didn't have enough time, dude. I didn't. Yeah, that's right. That's Cam's. Sorry, Cam. I'm on your corner. Let me get off.
I don't like using that excuse, and I bet you don't either.
No, I don't. But I literally, you can't be two places at once.
Yes.
So
I know. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt here. I'm just saying we both don't like using that excuse, but sometimes you got to use that excuse.
Yeah. No, and it sucked. But I was on the show the day before, so that's why I was like, and Mosley's not missing me. So what was he like though in person? Any moments? Like I remember my favorite. No, look, just because I really am fascinated by a guy. My favorite was when he ordered a drink. Like a soda.
Yeah.
When we were there, but he never got it.
That's a great.
And rather than tell the bartender, "Hey, I haven't gotten my drink," he likes to tell us.
Well, he said it to me like 3 times, and then you showed up, and he also mentioned it to you a few times. Yeah.
What was the number?
Drink, I guess.
Do it again. Sorry.
Busy back there. Ordered a drink a while ago. But I'm sure it's hopping in here. One of those.
Hey, is Mosley Baptist?
Yes.
Okay. Because he loves
Baptist.
talking about the Baptists. So any other notes from the in-person Mosley show?
No, it was pretty standard. It was pretty run of the mill. Mosley did not like some terminology that I used.
What you
said
use?
We should drop it, treat it like an expletive, even though it wasn't an expletive. We were talking about Bob Costas.
Oh,
and
damn, I did miss my show.
Yeah, right up your alley. This was on the air. We're talking about Bob Costas, and we talked about that time where Costas was talking about that Cubs relief pitcher who was coming off the mound.
It was wild. Speaking of Christy, she sent me that a couple weeks ago. I had never seen it, dude. I'd never seen it. No.
We were talking about that because it came up because we were talking about Marcus Hayes and his run-in with Marcus Hayes. So it comes back to Pete a little bit here. But anyway, we're talking about Costas. And him and Howard Cosell and how they just nobody loves those guys more than those guys.
No.
Right. And so I said, about Bob Costas, I said, if Costas is in his car and he breaks wind, he rolls up the windows. And Mosley's like, I don't think we need to use that. I think we can drop that, treat that like an expletive, Aaron.
Really?
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was like, that was great. That was off the cuff.
I like that. That's really good.
Need to do shit don't stink because you can't say that on the radio.
Hey, what about Cosell? What'd you guys say about him?
By the way, that's such something my dad would come up with too, that it felt almost eerie. He came up with one of the great lines that I still use all the time. About one of our neighbors who was very nice but very dumb, and he would say if she was any dumber you'd have to water her twice a day, and it's just an all-time line. Anyway, what were you saying?
That's great, like New Englander type deal too.
Oh, it's such good shit. It's biting is what it is.
Anything about Cosell you guys said yesterday? I'm kind of
no, it was just I think I was just saying like Howard Cosell was the same way. Like no one loved Howard Cosell more than Howard Cosell. And the epitome of that is the announcement of John Lennon dying on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
And I think it was it Don Meredith with him or was it Frank Gifford?
It was both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were like, one of them was like, on the air too, was like, Howard, we got to say it. We've got this news. We've got to say it.
Yeah.
And Cosell goes into it and he's like, John Lennon shot outside the Dakota, or he would say New York City, and rushed to the hospital dead on arrival.
It was pretty good.
And it's like, okay, Howard, you can just tell us that John Lennon has been shot. You know what I mean? Like he makes it this event, dead on arrival.
So he was pissed during the Olympics that he felt like he should have been in the chair.
Costas?
No,
Cosell.
Cosell.
Oh, in 72.
In 72, when they had the kidnapping of the Israeli wrestling team, who eventually got killed.
Yeah.
And they all died.
9 at the airport.
And he always felt, now it wasn't Chris Schenkel, it wasn't Kirk Gowdy. I forget. God.
Jim McKay, wasn't it?
It's Jim McKay, who was, So Jim McKay.
They're all gone now.
They're all gone now. And he used to say, like, he was so pissed at Jim McKay. He resented him so much for that. Cosell did. Yeah. And he resented ABC. And he would say, there he is, the insignificant one that was there at the right time.
And Jim McKay was also like big time in the Olympics. Maybe he had not gotten there yet, but like he was pretty big time.
He was A1, dude.
And
but a legendary drunk, Howard Cosell, to the point where like Al Michaels in his book was like, I was so sick of, Howard doing his prep at the hotel bar. And then he had an assistant who would just fill vodka for him. It was like a nightmare. Like
obviously what he said that kind of got him fired was wrong. Like, that would get you fired today. But it almost felt like, okay, finally we got something. Yeah. Like it's Al Capone or something. Like we got something to, like, I'm sure the act was tired. And you mentioned Al Michaels. There's plenty of stories of people who worked with him just being done. Yeah. Just being done with all that. And then he says, what he says, which is just not good. No, not great.
Not good. Not good.
Al Campanis, really. But
not good in 2024. Not good in 1984. Not good.
Which, ever. I mean, that was a different threshold back then.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's not good.
Pete Sousa show. Cam is headed to American Airlines Arena to cheer on his Bruins.
Woo! Bees, baby.
You're going by yourself, right?
No, I'm going with my friend.
Okay. I would go by myself. That's why. Are you going with Abby Stokes?
Visiting arena. No. I would go with Abby, but not Abby. But she's not going to this.
Abby Stokes is
she's got women's basketball tonight.
Yeah. Abby Stokes is the best. All right, that's it. The Cam show tomorrow at 11. Pete Sousa show at 1. Scotty Swingler, legendary as always. Thank you to Slovacics, Crawford Austin Properties, D1, the whole deal. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.